So today we are going to be decluttering this bookshelf together. Actually, I am going to be decluttering this bookshelf and you're probably going to be watching along for the ride. That's great. I'm happy to have you here. So before we get started, I wanted to explain a little bit about my approach to decluttering and why it may not look like some of the other things that you've seen online. So I've tried a lot of different approaches by a lot of awesome clutter tidying experts. And probably the one that I most resonate with is Dana K. White's. If you're familiar with her work, Decluttering at the Speed of Life has just been hugely helpful to both me and my husband as we have tried to work through making sure that we keep our house as clutter-free and as tidy as possible. But I would definitely describe myself as more of an aspiring minimalist than a minimalist, because I want to have my home only filled with things that matter to me and make my life better, but I am not there yet. And I'm not in a big rush to be there because I don't want to inadvertently lose the things that bring me joy along the way. I want to make sure that I really am investing in the things that make my life happy, because like we talk about all the time with your time, I think possessions, this also applies to. It's not so much about optimization as it is about the quality of life that you get from those things, from the way you use your time, from the possessions you have. And so if there is something there that is useful to you or makes you happy and you have space for it, it's okay to keep it, even if keeping it wouldn't be necessarily the strictest minimalist standards. So I will probably be in that aspiring minimalist category for most of my life. And at this point, I'm okay with that as long as the clutter doesn't get out of control. So that being said, I am an avid reader. My husband and I both love to read, and we love to go to bookstores together and buy books. And we have a problem because, as you can see, we have this huge bookshelf. This shelf that you can see here in the camera, this is not the top shelf. There's another whole shelf up there. And this shelf is full, and it's also messy. And we have books scattered around our house that do not have a space because this bookshelf is full. And so my task today is I'm going to declutter this bookshelf so that we have some more space in our house for the things that we actually love. As we get started, there are a couple of things to note here. My primary reason for doing this declutter is to make space for, number one, the books that I already have in my house that do not have a home, because their home should be a bookshelf. And between this and the other bookshelves that I have in my living room, we are out of space. So a declutter is necessary. And second of all, I know that we are going to buy more books. I particularly, but really when we go on vacations, we love to visit bookstores and we're going to buy more books. And so I want to make sure that we have space for those books too. So not just decluttering enough for our current load of books, but also for future loads, getting a little bit ahead. Sort of my secondary goal here is that I would like to make this less of a purely functional shelf and more of a attraction in this room as well. This is a bookshelf that my husband custom built, and I would love for it to be able to be pretty and not stressful to look at versus how it is right now, which, as you can see, is very messy. We tried with different things that we just sort of stuck on the shelves to make this look nice, and it does not. When I look at it, my eyes are just well, that's too much. It's too much going on. And so I'd like to get some bookends. I'd like to be a little more strategic about the things that we use for decoration and maybe have even a little bit of space between books so that we can do stuff like that. So that is obviously not the top priority. The functionality has to come first. But once I have the space that I need, I want to think more about that part as well. As I'm decluttering, I am just telling myself now, and I am telling the camera for accountability, that I am going to be gentle with myself. The goal here is not to have as few books as possible, although I will probably go on the little bit more radical side just because I know that once I declutter, I'm going to hand the piles of books to my husband to have him go through. And so I want there to be some space where he can put books back that he might want. I'm going to do my best not to get rid of any books that he wants, but I make sure that he can go through them before we donate them. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But The goal here, I don't want to be hard on myself and be like, yeah, you have to get rid of as many books as possible. If you love it, I don't care. It's dead to you now. I've definitely done that in decluttering spurts before. And that is not the vibe here. That is not the vibe in this house. In this house, we are kind to ourselves. We are gentle with ourselves. And so I'm going to be as kind and gentle to myself as I can with this decluttering process. I'm also not going to beat myself up when I realize that I've bought a book that I'm now getting rid of without having read. That happens sometimes, like, unfortunately, and it's okay. And then just a little bit about my method. I'm just going to go shelf by shelf. I'm going to go through all the books and see which ones I think we can get rid of. Some of these books are primarily here because I wanted to read them. And some of them are primarily here because my husband wanted to read them. I'm going to do a pass through on both kinds. This is the way that I'm doing it because my husband and I are pretty aligned in terms of we want our house to be tidy. We do not want it to have too much clutter. We don't like it when things are scattered around. I think I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to that than him, but he's also a lot better about putting his things away when he uses them. And so he's very gracious when I don't put things away. So we both want to have space for the books that we really, truly enjoy. And so I'm going to go ahead and clean all the books. I'm not going to try to keep his books and my books separate because there are a lot that fall into this like gray area of like, I'm not even sure either of us remembers who picked it out anymore. And then I'm going to have a get rid of pile. And then I'm going to have maybe get rid of, ask Andrew pile. Honestly, he's going to have to go through both piles, but I think it's going to be helpful for him to be able to have one pile to focus on with the ones I was really not sure about. And then he can take a little bit less time on the ones that I am like pretty sure about. And, you know, he and I can talk through the reasons I was thinking about getting rid of certain books. If he's like, oh, this looks interesting, why did you get rid of it? I can explain it. But for this first pass that I'm going to be filming right now, just go through book by book, either keep, get rid of, keep, get rid of, keep, get rid of. As I'm going through, I'm not going to be like touching them and seeing if they spark joy, although I have done that with things, and that is wonderful if that is your preferred method. I'm going to be asking myself a very specific set of questions because all of these books are here because at some point I wanted them. So I'm probably not going to ask myself like, hey, do I want this book? Because the answer is going to be yes. I'm going to be asking myself how much I want to read it. So sometimes I'll like rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and then I'll have a number where I'm like, okay, anything less than a 5, which is probably what I'm going to do today, is just going to go on the pile because even though I maybe want to read it, it's not like a burning desire. I'm also going to ask myself how easy it is to replace this book. If this is a book that I see all the time at library book sales or thrift stores or used book sections, if I get rid of it and then I decide that I made a mistake and I need to get it back again, I can always pick it back up. That's really easy. I also there's a lot of books that you can just get really easily at the library. The library is always going to have them because they're classics or bestsellers or whatever. And, you know, I think there's a lot of value in having your own copies of books that are very personally meaningful for you or that you've learned a lot from so that you can kind of go back over your notes, you can highlight, you can scribble in the margins. But for books that I'm not going to do that with or that I just don't think are going to be that dear to me when I read them, it's okay if we just kind of send those into the donation bin and get rid of them so that we can make room for books that really truly are going to be something that we can treasure. And then the final question, if I've read the book before, is will I reread it? Will I read it again? It's not a perfect system, but this is sort of how I deal with it with books because with a lot of people, a lot of systems, they will say like, hey, books don't count because they're about learning, they're about growing. These are like some of the most precious things that you can own. They're full of ideas and stories and inspiration. And while I agree with all of that, I also know that I only have so much space in my house. And so having books that I'm never going to read and that if I'm really honest with myself, I know I'm never going to read, or if I do read them, like I'm not going to care if I'm reading my own copy or not. Having those books here means that I am saying no to other books, future books that maybe would be even more impactful or more inspiring to me. So that is sort of what I'm trying to avoid. I want to make sure that I have space for the right books in my house. And so I'm going to make sure that the wrong books peacefully, happily go to the donation bin. So yeah, that was a really long explanation, and I'm sure I'm going to have to edit a lot of that, but that is how I am going about this decluttering process. So let's get started. I'm actually first going to start by taking all this stuff off of the shelf because that's just distracting. If you've read Decluttering at the Speed of Life, you know that her first step is to remove any trash from the area. Obviously, we do not have a lot of trash on our bookshelf, but I did find like a pencil and a little bag that I'm not sure what they were for, so in the trash they go. I'm also moving all the things that don't belong here necessarily, like all our little decoration pieces. I'm moving them to the side, and I will figure out where to put them once I'm done here, but I don't think that most of them are going to be back on this shelf, so we will need to figure out a spot for those as well. So for the top shelf, I took all of the books off just to be dramatic, I guess. I don't know, because it's so far up there and I didn't feel like straining the entire time, I decided to take them all down, put them in different piles. I also think that because we put our like books we care about the least on the hard to reach shelf, probably most of these need to be down here anyway. As I was taking them off, I noticed that there were probably like two main categories on the shelf. One was like fiction. We have a lot of mystery novels. We have some other ones. And the other was like business-esque books. And so the ones that I keep, I'm going to sort by type of book and just sort of leave them in a pile here on the floor until I can get the rest of these sorted. And then hopefully I can organize my shelves a little bit more as I put them back. Let's get started. Oh no, this is not starting well. The first one looks really good. So, okay. There's a lot of these Daniel Silva books. I picked them up for my husband. I'm not sure how he feels about owning all of them, so I'm going to put them in the Ask Andrew pile. My husband talks about getting this book all the time. He's keeping it. Okay, cool. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. I've got a lot of books here in the to get rid of pile. You probably can't see them because I think the thing cuts off down here, but it's like almost the height of a shelf. So that's pretty cool. All right, next one. And it turns out I think I'm putting all of them on the floor because I want to sort them. So great. This book is a good example of one that I've held on to, and I'm sure it is a fantastic little book, but here's the deal. Some of the things that I have held on to it for, because I know like there's like carving a turkey in here, I can just look that up online. And information is out there. So yeah, I think we're good. And we had the idea because we were watching a show recently where they put all their books like this. We were like, wouldn't it be cool to display them like that? I think it would actually be really annoying to actually try to find books with them like that. So I feel like I've got to figure out some sort of organizational system so that I can kind of find them. One idea is to sort them by size, but with a lot of these that are like the same size, I don't know. Oh, actually these are different sizes, but with a lot of these that are like the same size, I don't know how easy that would be if we were just sorting them by size. So I'm trying to sort them also by topic. Gorgeous, gorgeous book. I love this book. I will reread it so many times. This book includes the phrase Christian themed casino on it. So, I mean, we have to keep that. I don't even know what that is. Bibles. I never know what to do with these. If anybody has a good suggestion for what to do with Bibles, let me know. To like display them so that they're nice, but I mean, we don't read all of these all the time. We like the ones that we normally read are not on the shelf. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I just don't know that I want like half a shelf being taken up by Bibles we aren't using. I don't really want to put them in a box somewhere, but I'm almost thinking that would be better than having them here, just taking up space and like sort of getting in my way, because like there are things here where like this is the Bible I got it when I graduated from high school. I've had it for a while, not forever and ever. And I guess there's not that many notes on it, but it does have my name on the front. So I'm like, do I donate it? Do I throw it away? I don't know. I have paintbrushes in here in the front. Why? The rest of the shelf should be pretty easy now that I've gone through all the magazines. Because most of these are just like, they're books from Andrew's childhood, so we're gonna keep them. And to be honest, down here is mostly notebooks, which I'm sort of wondering if we can't figure out another solution for those as well. I think I keep a lot of my used notebooks in another spot so that I can go through them. And so I probably need to move a lot of these there. That's beautiful. So beautiful. I didn't remember I had this, and I've been wanting a new notebook. You cannot see me right now. I don't think you can probably see the piles right now, but I'm just like surrounded by piles of books. And this is the part of decluttering that I really, really don't like, the like mess before it all gets organized and gets better. So I'm gonna go ahead and film a little bit of what this looks like. So just so that you can see what it is, keeping it real here. And then I will put some of these keeper piles back on just to give myself a little bit more sanity. I think I've been filming for like, goodness, what does it say here? Yeah, I've been filming for like over an hour at this point, and I just like, there's a lot here. So I will make sure that I film some updates and then edit it all together, and you can get the nice, like, beautiful packaged product. I am right here in the middle of the mess though, so I gotta figure out a way to walk to that camera to show you what it looks like. Look at this pile. Look at these piles. Yeah, I thought when I started out that this was gonna be like the more organized way to do it, and now I am not so sure. Okay, let's start with the books that we know that we're keeping, specifically the fiction books, because I already have some of the fiction books here. As you can see, is that I'm not actually sure where all of these are going to end up. I need to go through this pile here with Andrew, and then I have my donate pile as well to go through with him. And so assuming that we get rid of all of the books in these piles, we look like we are in really good shape, because I have a few more books that I need to put up here, and then I need to figure out what I want to do with the notebooks, which were helping to make it look really messy and kind of stressing me out when I would look at this shelf. Then I also need to figure out what to do with all of these Bibles. Like, do I want to put them back on the shelf where, you know, their spines will break standing on their ends? Do I want to declutter some of them? Do I want to put them in storage somewhere where they'll be a little bit better taken care of, but then we will never get them out and use them? I don't know. I don't really like any of those solutions, if I'm being totally honest with you. So I got to think about that. Got to think about a solution for the notebooks, which I did not foresee when I started this project. And also a solution for these magazines here, because those are also making it look a little bit messier. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. And I'm very excited about the progress that we've made so far. I need to keep decluttering in some of these piles, like for example, the journals and notebooks. I just kind of threw those all in a pile. I don't think we need to keep all of those. And so that will make it a lot easier to declutter once I know what I'm keeping and what I'm not. So definitely still a work in progress. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update when I go through these books with Andrew. In the meantime, I'm going to keep stacking because I want to make sure that all the books that we are keeping are on the shelf and we can make sure that we have them in the places that we want to eventually keep them. So this Willy Wonka looking stack right here, that's the ones that I want you specifically to go through because I wanted to ask you about them.
Oh yeah, this is my pile. Can I do it can I do it from over here? Or do I need to do it from that side?
No, that's fine. This is fine. And then the ones to your right over there.
How did you stack this so high?
I don't know.
Whoa, that's gotta be a record. Okay, sorry.
I'm terrified of it falling over or the dog running into it.
And then these ones to the right of me?
Yeah, those are my get rid of pile, but you should probably also go through those just in case.
There's an Annie F. Downs book in there?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I have another one back here that I haven't totally made it through, so.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it may fall over. I'm sorry.
Wow, this is crazy. Oh, this is not you telling me I need to get rid of them.
No,
this
these
is
are
just...
I wasn't sure if you wanted to get rid of them or not because I've never heard you mention them. Okay, well, we have that on Kindle, don't we?
How are you going to tell me I've never mentioned this book?
You're right. You have, but we already have that on Kindle, so I wasn't sure.
This is one of those books that you have to have 15 million copies. You got to be one of the 15 million, you know?
I am on
Kindle. A couple little pocketbooks. Great. I'll keep this one for the kiddos.
Okay.
This one, we'll put in the maybe.
Okay.
Oh wait, this is my keep pile over here.
Okay, cool.
Gotta keep this one. Love both those. This one, I also want to keep young.
Okay.
Where did we get this one?
I don't know.
Oh, library book sale. Oh. What is it about? The Relationship Principles of Jesus. Tim Holliday, South Africa. That sounds pretty good. This is my maybe pile. Yeah, I gotta keep the John Maxwell books, you know.
Oh, okay. I put all your John Maxwell books in that stack just to give you a warning because I thought you didn't care about him.
Oh, no, he's the OG, man.
Yeah, but I thought you were like, yeah, I don't care. They're all the same book.
I don't think I care about that book. I don't care about that. Oh, no, I don't care about that book. Oh, yeah, John Maxwell. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Okay, that was at least easy.
Leadership Essentials. Oh, yeah, this was like the discipleship book. I'm curious enough about this to keep it, but this is on the lower side of the keep. All Business is Show Business from Goodwill. Yeah, don't need that. Oh yeah, here's all the Daniel Silva books.
About the Daniel Silva books, so.
Yeah, I know.
I kept the Heist because I was pretty sure you felt strongly about that one, but I wasn't sure how you felt about these ones.
Well, I already read The Heist.
Okay, well, we can get rid of the Heist if you want. It's up there.
And you were gonna read The Heist. I feel like these are the kind of books you read if you're feeling it, and you're like, wow, that was a good time, but not like, oh, I really need to read those books.
Okay.
So, I don't know. These go in the maybe pile.
Okay, sounds good.
Jack Welch. Oh yeah. Jack Welch is the General Electric guy. I don't think we need this book. It's 50 cents. Oh yeah, Patrick Lencioni for sure. I need that.
Okay.
I don't think I've actually read that. I should do that. Oh yeah, vision-driven leader. That's good. There's some good exercises in here. It's also good memory for me to keep in mind for the future. Oh, and another Daniel Silva book to go in the main file. Wow, did I do it?
You did it.
Wow.
So then you should probably also go through that pile over there because those are the ones I'm definitely getting rid of unless you tell me not to.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I need that. What's this?
That's a book I had. I haven't ever read it, so I can't really tell you much more about it.
I'm just gonna read like Jesus, Ken Blanchard.
Yeah, a lot of those ones that I'm seeing right now were ones I picked up.
Yeah. Built to Last?
You can keep it if we want. We read it audio when we read it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I feel like we need to keep Good to Great. I don't know that we need to keep Built to
That was
Last.
sort of how I was feeling, yeah. And I think we can get it again if we decide we made a mistake.
Oh, the Anthony Horowitz.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah, but that seemed like a little bit younger geared.
A lot of these I picked up at that library book set.
Yeah. Fatal Inquiry I got at...
Yeah, I read that one. You're welcome to keep it if you.
Oh,
want to
you
read it.
got it at St. Vincent's.
Well,
we got it at St. Vincent's.
We did,
Okay.
and I read it. I didn't think it was that great. It's
Okay.
like number 6 in a series, and you sort of have to know some of these characters for it to be super compelling, I feel like.
Like the Heist, except you don't necessarily need to know them.
Right? Yeah, because Heist is cool.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know about any of these. These look like more magazine-y. Ooh, Eldest, though? You getting rid of one of my Bibles?
I was going to ask you about that one.
Because it's a duplicate?
Okay, well, there were 3. How did you get 3?
I don't know.
That one I wanted to ask you about because...
Is there a note in this one?
No, it's like stuck to the front. You see that? Yeah.
That's weird. Maybe I had it in the car.
No.
The
I
car...
don't think any of them have notes in them. I don't know how you got them.
These were like the de facto... These were like the... In a box.
Okay.
Like de facto, like $4 in a box, not horrible, but, it's like kind of nice. It feels good, but they're like baseline. And so people just kept giving them to me for various things. So I have a whole bunch now. Do I want to keep Eldest? Nah. Nah. I bet I can just audiobook that up.
Yeah, I think you can. Okay, I think that's it then.
Wow.
Any parting words?
This is quite fun.
Aw,
And our dog is very cute.
she is. Look at her.
Say hi to the camera, Nellie. She says, hi.
Okay, so wrap up. Here I am in front of my newly organized, prettified, beautified shelf. And I am actually really, really happy with how this declutter went overall. I usually give myself a pass on books. I don't really make myself declutter too many at a time, but going through this shelf was really good. It made a lot of space. I'll put in some shots where you can just see sort of all the space that we have. I haven't had time to pick out some bookends. Honestly, I was thinking about maybe making some. I might just bite the bullet and buy some. So I want to be able to take my time and get the right ones. So I kind of did a little bit of like a makeshift styling for this video so you can see, but the stuff that I found around my house is actually holding it pretty well, and I'm excited about that. We did end up turning the spines like this, and I have a couple of thoughts on that. The first is the jury is still out on whether or not this is going to make it easy to find the books that we need. So I do feel like it's nice from an aesthetic perspective. It's not like assaulting my eyes when I look at it, because if you have a shelf full of books, and this shelf still has quite a few books on it, it can be a lot. It can feel kind of overwhelming. We are planning on transitioning this office into a bedroom in the near future, and so I like the idea of having less to grab your attention when you look at this big like centerpiece in this room. That being said, sometimes you do need to be able to find a book and find it quickly, and so I think that we may end up flipping them back around at some point. I had a couple of ideas that I want to try before that. The first is that if we're reading a book on the shelf, that we could simply take that book and flip it out like so. I just picked a book at random so that it is easy to find that book, or if we need a specific book because of a project we're working on or whatever. So I think that could be cool for helping us to focus on the books we really want to be reading at that point in time. And the other thing is, I know that I thought about this and I think I mentioned it. I don't know if this part will get edited out. But I was worried about like our notebooks and our magazines. And when I was talking to my husband about that, he said, well, actually flipping it around solves that problem. So down here on this bottom shelf, we have all of these notebooks that I have that are unused or partially used or whatever. We wanted to keep them for whatever reason. And this really looks neat now with them out like this. Also, the magazine holders that I was so worried about, I just flipped them so that they're covered. And so it doesn't look as messy, and I'm still able to contain all of those things in one piece. So flipping the books around, I would say from a neatness perspective, in terms of like the notebooks and the magazines, great idea. From a being able to find the books that we want to read perspective, maybe not so great. So if you are interested in an update on that, leave a comment below and I will update you in like 6 months or a year or whatever with where we landed on this. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is our new shelf, and I am very, very excited to have space for the books that we're going to find in the future, but also just to have a little space to breathe and really focus on the books that we love and that are right for us to own right now.